Hello and welcome to the channel and welcome to another Doctor Who season episode ranking. And today we are going to do season 4, the Dr. Donna season. There are 10 to choose from. As usual, multi-part stories will be treated as one story. As one episode. 10 to choose from. Let's go. Okay, in my opinion, this is a fairly strong season. Which is why at number 10 is The Unicorn and the Wasp. Written by Gareth Roberts and directed by Graham Harper. This isn't a bad story. It's not a bad episode. I do think there is quite a few missed opportunities here. When I was young, my mother enjoyed Agatha Christie books. And we were quite a booky sort of family. And so she had hundreds of Agatha Christie books. And even before I was old enough to understand the complexities of an Agatha Christie murder mystery, I used to enjoy looking at the covers. Some of the covers were quite gory, but that didn't bother me, even at a young age. But one cover in particular did bother me. It was a bit of a nightmare one. I think the title was called Terror from the Skies. And it was a small plane being attacked by a gigantic wasp. That's why this is at number 10, because of all the directions they could have gone with having Agatha Christie as a sort of guest appearance, they chose to go with that one. I could have done without that myself. And as I said, there were so many missed opportunities here. They could have just done a straight out historical murder mystery, but they had to introduce the alien, and it was a bit of a rubbish alien as well. On the whole, it's not a bad episode, but it's not great. At number 9, Partners in Crime. Written by Russell T Davies, directed by James Strong. Now I've got to say, straight off the bat, Catherine Tate is excellent in this episode. The dynamic, the comedic elements between Tennant and Tate were fantastic. And that was good because in The Runaway Bride, Catherine Tate's character, Donna Noble, was a little bit annoying. A little bit too much in your face. Not totally dislikable, just not particularly relatable. So I was glad they softened up Donna's character a little bit and made her a little bit more relatable and a little bit more likeable. And yeah, some of the elements of Partners in Crime is absolutely gold. But I can't forgive it for the adipose. Cute they may be, but I just look at them and think they were designed specifically for merchandise. And aside from that, living creatures that are born out of human fat does not make any sense to me at all. Yeah, I've just written down laughably terrible, but I wasn't laughing. Not at the adipose bits. Yeah, on the whole, it's just a bit of a nowhere story. Which was a shame because, as I said, the comedic bits between Tate and Tennant were absolute gold. And for that alone, I watch this quite often. Yeah. And then it gets to the adipose bit and I just get a bit bored. Number 8. The SONTARAN Stratagem. Poison Sky. Written by Helen Rayner and directed by Douglas McKinnon. This is the first appearance of the Sontarans in NuWho. It's also the fourth big villain from Classic Who that's made an appearance now. 4 in 4 seasons. Pretty good. And I really like the Sontarans in this. It's very, very Classic Who. The very warlike, very soldier mentality characterisation of them. And as much as I like Strax in the later stories and the way that the Sontarans were portrayed in later seasons, I really, really like this, the pure warrior race. It is a strong story. It does sag in the middle, but I'm willing to forgive that because trying to cram that whole story into one episode would have been too much. It would have been too crammed. Spread over 2 episodes, it's, as I said, it sags a little bit, but you can't do 1.5 episodes, can you? So I don't think there's anything you can really do about that. And we also get the return of Martha Jones, which is fantastic. And we get to catch up with her and her unit training, which was really nice. A nice bit of intimate character building sort of thing. Ratigan, I'm not so keen on. I don't know why. I mean, he's not designed to be a likeable character, and I didn't like him. But I don't like him for different reasons. I just thought it was a bit of a weak character. Didn't really gel with the story that much. To be quite honest, the whole story could have done without Ratigan and his little army of intelligentsia. That's just me. I wouldn't have written it that way, but yeah, I'm not a writer. At number 7, Planet of the Ood. Written by Keith Temple and directed by Graham Harper again. This is a really good episode, I've got to say. It has comedy at the beginning, which I think is a little bit misplaced, considering the way the story develops later, but I kind of can forgive it because it kind of puts the viewer off guard. It certainly put me off guard, thinking we was going to get a more comedy-based story, and then it turned very, very dark. Because obviously in The Impossible Planet, they told us that the Ood were basically a slave race. But then other things went on, and am I the only one that just forgot about that statement at all and didn't really give it much thought? Until we get Planet of the Ood and we find out exactly how unwilling a slave race they are. That they're basically just enslaved in the worst possible way. And yeah, it kind of, I'm not entirely sure, but it shows how easily we can be, we can accept what we're told without giving it any thought, even when alarm bells should be ringing. We also get a little bit on the background of the Ood species and their evolution and their society, or for want of a better word, society. And Tim McInerney as the boss is absolutely brilliant, although I do worry about the Ood possessing the chemical technology to change one species into another. Should the Ood suddenly decide to go to war with some race or other, that could be a very, very deadly weapon. At number 6, Fires of Pompeii. Written by James Moran and directed by Colin Teague. This is just a great story, some wonderful moments in it, both comedic and dark and foreboding. The prophecy battle between the two mystics was just so chilling. It is, though. That scene is just so brilliant. And of course we get Peter Capaldi's first appearance in Doctor Who. An appearance that would be later referenced back to. The Pyrovillians were brilliant. I'm not entirely sure you can call them an enemy, but they were a very, very imaginative alien race. I really liked the idea of them, and the whole story of Pompeii, and that it was them destruction that caused Pompeii and all that. Yeah, just fantastic moment, and that ending was just superb. I mean, I knew Catherine Tate was a brilliant comedienne, and I knew she was a brilliant character comedian, which requires some level of acting, but I never realised how good a straight, serious actress she could be. That absolutely astounded me, and honestly, it cemented my love for Donna Noble, that character. Right from that moment, I mean, it was the second episode of the season, and from that moment I loved Donna Noble. She was my absolute favourite. She overtook Rose as my absolute favourite. At number 5 is The Doctor's Daughter, written by Stephen Greenhorn and directed by Alice Troughton. I love the whole idea of this episode. It's not, I don't think it's considered exactly a classic, but for me it has so much rewatch value. The whole idea of the 7-day war being dragged out over generations, and them not realising how short a time it is just brilliant. Just a brilliant concept. The Hath, really great alien creatures. I really loved them, and their whole physiology, the sort of fishy sort of thing that needed the mask thing to breathe. The whole idea that it was originally supposed to be a multicultural colony, and that somehow something went wrong and this whole war started. Jenny, just brilliant. I mean, Georgia Moffat and David Tennant just had so much chemistry. And I know later on, after this episode was made, that they ended up getting married and having children and all that, but you could just tell the chemistry right from the beginning. And such a brilliant actress. I don't know why they haven't brought Georgia Moffat back into it again, because just that was a brilliant character. I just don't understand why. I just don't understand Jenny's regeneration. I don't understand why it wasn't a full regeneration, since she has the Doctor's genetic code in her. That's by the by. She's a character that has to come back at some point, I feel. Like in the series, not just as a Big Finish audio thing, like in the TV. At number 4, just missing out on a podium position, it is The Stolen Earth and Journey's End, written by Russell T Davies and directed by Graham Harper. This is the great Doctor Who crossover episode. We have everything here. I mean, this is just a fan homage episode, and I can't fault it, really. I really can't fault it. It has Sarah Jane Smith, it has Torchwood, it has Davros, the return of Davros. Oh mate, come on. It has the Daleks. We get to see the Shadow Proclamation. Rose comes back. We've got Rose and Martha and Donna and just everybody. Classic Who references, like we have a reference to Ravolox. Am I pronouncing that right? Ravolox. The Ravolox incident, which, for those who don't know, is a Classic Who, late Classic Who. I'm not going to tell you what episode. I'll let you find that out for yourself. But it's a Classic Who episode of the later periods. We also had that fake regeneration, and honestly, if you're going to do a fake regeneration to keep the audience wondering whether it's actually going to be a real one, that's the way to do it. Because although in the real world we had no news of David Tennant leaving or anybody else being considered for the role, so logically we shouldn't have been fooled. But I was, and I know lots of other people that were fooled. One day, I would like to see that occur, but not be a fake regeneration, just a actual full regeneration out of the blue with no warning, real world warning whatsoever. But as fake regenerations go, that was a good one. Yeah, as I said, I can't fault it. It was thrilling. It didn't even sag in the middle, which a lot of the two-parters do. It just kept the momentum going over and over until the end. In bronze place, number 3, The Silence in the Library and the Forest of the Dead. Written by Stephen Moffat and directed by Euros Lyn, who's one of the more consistently good directors for Doctor Who. Again, I can't really fault Forest of the Dead or Silence in the Library. It had everything. It had this mysterious river song, who we knew nothing about. We had this mysterious thing going on with the computer and the planet and everything dead, and the Vashta Narada, who were awesome. It had some very, very quotable lines. Who turned out the lights? I say that all the time. Just imaginative. It was scary. The Donna Noble's fake reality was just heartbreaking, really, at the end of it, when she had to realise that her children weren't real, and the whole thing was just artificial. Again, we see Catherine Tate act like I've never seen her act before, apart from in Fires of Pompeii. I think this is why I really like this season, is because Catherine Tate just never failed to amaze me in every single episode. Yeah, it really shows, this episode really shows Stephen Moffat's endgame, doesn't it? Because this is probably the point. I mean, season 4, Stephen Moffat took over as showrunner in season 5. So season 4 is the time that he's preparing himself, and look at that, he's prepared himself beautifully for his arc. Stephen Moffat wrote this, and later on he brings River Song back. So at Silver Place, at number 2, is Turn Left, the episode before the Stolen Earth finale, written by Russell T Davies and directed by Graham Harper. This is a brilliantly imaginative story, the kind you can only do once in a while. You can't do it all the time. And it's just the alternative history. I love alternative history sort of episodes of anything, not just Doctor Who. And in this, we get to see exactly what would have happened in all the major events if the Doctor hadn't been around. Well, all the major events from The Runaway Bride, the crash of the Titanic, the adipose, the poison sky. It almost starts off sort of very light, very sort of, oh yeah, you know, this is the difference. Is we see Donna being Donna, and very much Donna in a normal life, and then it goes very, very dark, and very, very dark, and we get that chilling moment where it's just such a beautiful moment where Wilf is saying goodbye to his friend who's been carted off when they're up in Leeds to go to a work camp. And Donna doesn't get it, but Wilf gets it immediately. He just knows that it's death camp. It's a death camp. And we see how easily our fragile society can go down into those depths, into that dark place so easily, given a particular set of circumstances. It's a scary and frightening episode, and a brilliant prelude to the finale. And we also get Rose as well, again, and Wilf. Bernard Cribbins, just a fantastic actor. Still was fantastic in the 60s when he starred in the Doctor Who movies with Peter Cushing, and brilliant now in NuWho. And we also have a reference to the Sarah Jane Smith, the Sarah Jane Adventures, in the fact that the cockroach thing that was on Donna's back was part of the Tricksters Brigade. And I've always wanted the Tricksters to come into NuWho, into Doctor Who properly, because I always thought they were one of the more intriguing aliens from the Sarah Jane Adventures. So at number 1, as if you've been keeping track, you'll know what it is in gold place, top of the pile. We'll delay this no longer. I'm going to tell you the title right now. No more wasting time. It is the number 1 of this season, season 4, the best episode. It's written by Russell T Davies and it is directed by Alice Troughton. And it's Midnight. Did you think it would be anything else? This is just fantastic. It's more of a character episode where we have multiple strangers lumped together in this claustrophobic enclosed space where they can't even go outside because it's deadly poison or whatever, deadly radiation. And they don't know, and we don't know what the hell is going on. And we never do find out. And that's the beauty of this episode. We never ever find out exactly what that creature was, what it wanted. Was it malevolent or benevolent or just neutral? Was it trying to understand us? Was it trying to kill us? We will never know. Because hopefully the writers will never come back to that. Because I like it. I loved it open-ended. But it's just the way the characters interact. It's just so scary. The way it all turns and the Doctor can't keep control. You know, the one thing we know him for, that he instills confidence and instills leadership. But he couldn't. It just fell apart. It is just the best episode of the season, simply as. Okay, that's the end of that. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for these wonderful patrons. I always do this. If you want full reactions, just follow the link below. Until then, Season 5 episode ranking will be up shortly. Until then, keep well. Bye bye.